Viva, O woman, viva. To all the women who lead in majesty, we celebrate you. To all the women who've led in majesty, we commemorate you. For all the heroes barely spoken of, we salute you. This is for you, who made Kenya what it is. We venerate you. 3.3 million years before Christ barely had a lineage, I am told to trace word has it that these soils embrace the feet of many like I, women. Filled with love of a mother, so did the soils in the 600s, assimilating the Arabic princes our own, call it the graceful canopy of Mama Wanjiku's head, carrying us to the beginning of the sandstorms in 1895. One strange man of a different land envied her geographical beauty, stripping her of her motherly form. She became the British East African Protectorate, all by force. Tormented by their cruelty, in her kindness, Mama Wanjiku dispelled the notion of weakness, all by force. Restored her identity through her unveiled claws, she became Kenya in 1920. Kenya, the place of glitter flame, Kenya, the place of white spots peace, Kenya, the motherland of Wanjiku, her children, the men armed with shields, her children, the women shielded and shielding her children swirled in sandy storms, the beginning of the 55-year struggle, the fight for independence. This is for our women, the African
women. Ooh, amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, welcome to the Amari Speaks podcast, where we talk about all things African, what it means to be African, our culture, our identity, and reclaiming back our power. So today, I am joined by the lovely Spontaneous, the poet. Have you heard her poetry? Have you heard her poetry?
Hey, have you heard hers?
Thank you.
Thank
you so much, Spontaneous, for joining me today. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself, who you are, what you love, what you do?
Okay, hi everybody. So my name is Spontaneous the Poet. Thank you so much for having me on the show, by the way. It's humbling and honoring. My name is Spontaneous the Poet. Again, I am a multi-award winning spoken word artist. They say you should say those things nowadays. You know?
Multi-awards.
I'm a multi-award winning spoken word artist. I use art for social change as a sense of healing. And I also believe that art is the one thing that's bringing me back to my roots. Like technically I've had to learn a few things about my own identity, be it through the kind of language I speak when I'm doing my different forms of art, and how I move as well, you know, and dispelling the notions that have come with the Western side of this world. But I'm also an event curator, I'm a social media strategist, I'm a couple of things, but right now I'd love to wear the hat of a mentor as well, and a Female Poets Kenya as a founder.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you've mentioned that art is a way that you're coming back into your roots as an African woman. What does it mean to you to be an African woman?
Power. That's what it means to me. To be able to walk in your femininity and in your softness and still make things move, you know? To be able to advocate for things that matter. To be able to hold up a family unit together is what is able to build a whole society and community that's full of sense. So yeah, to be an African woman for me means power. Yeah.
So could you share a story or an anecdote that encapsulate what it means to you to be a woman? Like your experience of being a woman, how has your journey of womanhood, if you can put it that way, how has it been for you?
I feel like those are two questions.
Okay.
Thankfully you've asked, because interestingly, the piece continues. Because it speaks to some of the women that have really shaped my view of a woman being powerful, you know. I know I'm answering this question very differently from so many people, but because it stems from love and power in itself. And so, the woman, whose 2 decades of history written in cluttered in the gutter, thou shalt find the unspoken, the women, 3,103 in number, numbered in the numbness of being shamed, constrained, detained, deported. Thou shalt find the barely spoken, how their identity were tainted with a splash of tagari here and a squash of witchcraft here, how their freedom were curtailed with a pound of detainment here and a grind of curfews there. Such were the stories of these women who inspire me. Such were the stories of Sarah Sarai and the 8,000 at Kamiti, how their homes were borrowed, with a clash of culture here and a cocktail of indifference there. Such were the experiences of Siotune in Kismayu and Makatilili in Kisii. How brevity dies not young when bravery remains bold in the presence of adversity, because the vision is equated to life itself. Such were our women. In the cluttered gutter social you find one, Kitutu prophetess. Have you heard of her? No. Mora has General Northcote speared by Otenyo. It took 2 words for ways to be paved. 2. Setune wa Kiduke. Has the British waded off like evil spirits. It took a kulumi dance for the wind to sway. 3. Mekatilili wa Menza. Has many joined the struggle. It took the Fisi and Mukusheshe oaths for many to pay. 4. Mary Mudhoni Wanjiru has Harry Thuku released. It took the pulling of her dress up for a human rights activist to exist. Do you know she was the first human rights activist? 5. What did I say?
5.
Let's slow down. 5. Let's applaud our women. Mudhoni wa Wanjiru, the first female field marshal, viva. Wamboi wa Kanyari, the Mau Mau medicine woman, viva. Wamboi Otieno, the chief mobilizer, viva. 10. A moment of silence for the heroines. They that said enough was enough. Enough of the forced labor, enough of the unjustified whips, enough of the ululations, enough of the rape culture, enough of slavery for generations to come, enough. Tormented by their cruelty and her kindness, Mama Wanjiku serves as the first, dispelled the notion of weakness, and through her unveiled claws came the rebirth of Kenya in 1963. So yeah, other than me trying to look for these names, and I have them here, I hope you learned a bit of history, because I did too when I was doing this research. And these are the women who really, really inspire me when I think about my identity, even in the modernity right now. One of the key reasons why Female Poets Kenya for me is key is to be able to raise a generation of poets who are powerful, who are bold, who embody the spirits that these women embodied when they are fighting for systems, when they are shifting perspectives. Because that's what women are. We are power.
We are power.
We are power.
Preach, preach, preach. And that is amazing, because like when we look at history, mostly even in school we mostly learn about the men, but the women who also played a very important part in our liberation, we rarely speak about them. And it seems that that was designed because, you know, the woman is the person who carries the family, carries the community. If you want to finish up people, you start with the women.
Exactly.
And so I think that's why when the white man came, like, he started this whole thing of women are inferior, you have to be submissive, you know, you don't matter. Because when you kill a woman's will, you are really killing that community.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. redefining or rather re-understanding our position as women is what we lack, you know. I was having a conversation with again a male friend. It's interesting how the men come into this conversation, but they make me really think. Cause I remember we were talking about submissiveness.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how women, of course, are supposed to cook. And then we had a whole back and forth. And he told me something very interesting. He told me the power is in the woman. The reason why the woman is to be in the kitchen is because she protects her own. You know? Like that's why it's so important that the woman is the one who cooks for the husband, because then you are aware that your family is preserved. But then if you let a stranger walk into the kitchen, you can never be too sure if your family is safe. I really thought about it. I was like, I think what we are missing is the ideas behind our grandparents on the kind of paths that we were to follow.
Okay.
So we've been taught to dispute, but we are not asking as many questions. And maybe in the asking of questions and digging deeper, we will be able to notice the power that we hold, even in the spaces we feel like we are the weaklings.
And I think that's a very interesting perspective. I think the problem comes in where, you know, you're being forced, like you have to do ABCD, because there's a very big difference between when you are choosing to do something versus when you're forced. Because you find that many men who, you know, are forcing their wives into the kitchen, they're not playing their part in the family. So everybody needs to step
to have
up.
a sense of understanding of what their roles are. I agree.
Yeah, in terms of roles, I think roles can be, they are not set in stone.
I agree.
They are flexible. So you and your person agree what works for you and what doesn't. It doesn't mean like you have to be forced to do, because some people are more comfortable with cooking, or you can find a situation whereby the husband cooks better than the wife.
Let's not even go far. Let me speak for myself. People who know me call me such a workaholic. But I have met men who are amazing at the kitchen, you know. And I recognize the beauty is they also, it's easier because now they are comfortable doing the kitchen work, the house calls. I am comfortable doing something different as well. And in times where, but I also recognize that there are instances where I need to be in charge in line with the same, you know.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with what you're saying, because nurturing is a calling in itself.
That's true.
And everyone nurtures different. It's interesting. I've been trying to wrap my mind around the conversation about men being the nurturers and how other men view that as being weaklings. But then there are men who just do that better, even as compared to women. So I agree with you in terms of once your partner understands where your strength is, then you're able to strike a balance.
Okay, that's amazing. So moving from that, what role does art, culture, and history play in your identity?
Art speaks to each lifestyle that is in existence at that particular time when it's being created. Art also speaks to the future, and it also speaks to the past. It allows you to do more research. I will not lie, this poem would have not been written without research. And I realized the reason why I even wrote it is because I realized when I was trying to look for who are the African women who took part in the struggle, they were scatterly mentioned. And I thought to myself, why not write a poem that will allow for people to come to the list of 10 women who actually did something and create an archive that does not necessarily exist as much, because it took a lot of research to do that. So I think for me, already in that instance, art fueling research allows myself to be able to then identify better with the African women back in my roots, and also helps me know why it is important for a woman's voice to be heard over and over again in championing for matters that are of importance. You know, why it's important to have women in the decision making roles, why it's important to have women thought processes considered when you're thinking about policies and shifts in patterns. You know, there's this event I usually go for, I tend to perform in, it's called 100 Most Loved Brands by Women. And allow me remember my statistics, but ideally 50% plus of women are now the ones who control what purchase will be made of a certain product. And so that already shows that we have the power to shift the narrative, even for the manufacturers themselves, even for the products that are being presented globally. So art has enabled and allowed me to be even in those spaces, to be able to understand my role as a woman and what I am actually, what participation am I doing without looking at a woman in terms of a vacuum. So yeah, in terms of I believe I've responded to the storytelling angle in terms of it's able to capture the essence of being a woman in past, present, and future.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's very important about storytelling and even art and culture. Like you said, it even made you research about these things, and now too I have learned about Siokine, who I didn't know about before. So yes, Siokine wa Kituke. So yeah, art is the mirror of society, and when we as artists, you know, we ourselves are inspired to research so that we can share with our audience, and then even our audience can pick some things up and see, oh, okay, this is interesting, let me go learn more about it.
True.
And when we learn more about, you know, our leaders, our history, our culture, we are able to shift the narratives, because because the narrative for so long has been about how Africa is inferior, women are less than, but like this is what we're here to change. We're here to help our people. We're here to reclaim our power.
Reclaim our power.
Reclaim our power as Africans.